Okay, can you talk me through your content creation and publishing process? How do you consistently create content and be so active on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so the way that we think about content is so there's a couple of problems with content. The first is that it really works a lot better if the subject matter expert themselves is creating the content. So typically in most businesses, there's one or two genuine subject matter experts who really know what they're talking about. And those are the people really who should be creating the content, because in order for content to be effective, it has to actually genuinely be useful, and it has to have value, and it has to actually come across as expert opinion. And the problem is, if you get someone else to write it for you, like if you get a marketing agency to write it for you, or even a really skilled ghostwriter, there's often just bits of context that are slightly missing and slightly off. And so that's kind of the first challenge, is that the subject matter expert should write it. The problem with that is that it takes a lot of time and energy, and this is why people find it really hard to be consistent, is that it takes hours and hours to produce loads of great content, especially if you're trying to do it across multiple platforms. So we looked at that problem, and we basically have come up with a system we call the demand gen content machine, where effectively we take about 60 to 90 minutes of our customers' time per month, and that produces all of the content that we need across multiple platforms. So we're all about, right, let's record the content once, and then how do we repurpose that as many times as possible? So we have various playbooks and systems for actually capturing and recording that content. And then we have separate systems for editing it and distributing it across multiple platforms. So if we record an interview like the one we're having today, for example, we want that to be in long form, we want it to be in short form, we want it to be on LinkedIn, and we want it to be on YouTube, we want it to go out to our email newsletter, and we want it to be used as many times as humanly possible. And we talked about this earlier. We're also looking at, okay, we've got it on LinkedIn, we've got it on YouTube. Why is it not going on Instagram? Why is it not going on TikTok, and so on and so forth? So that's how you create a system around your content production, and you don't get stuck in this cycle of constantly needing to feel like you create more and more content. And we're at the point now in our business, and a lot of our customers are the same, where we almost have too much content. Like we can't get round to posting all of the content because there's almost too much of it. And that's kind of where you want to be. So if you think of it in a system like that, it really helps with the content production and distribution.
I think also a lot of people always assume that content needs to look like an ad. And what they
Mm,
don't realize is that people don't like ads. People like
correct.
content that looks and feels authentic. Um, and I think that's something you do so well. Like it doesn't feel like you're being sold to or marketed to. It really does feel like it's value based.
Yeah, well, I think that's the benefit of being an actual expert. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to big myself up. It's just because I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And so I do actually know a thing or two about growing a company, and a thing or two about marketing and growth. The problem is that a lot of people are not authentic in their approach because they're talking about things that they don't really know about. And so that's what we're always doing with our partners, the clients that we work with, is we're just unlocking the knowledge that they already have. And we have companies that work with us and partners in lots of weird and wonderful industries that we don't really know that much about, or certainly we start not knowing that much about, but they've got 10, 15, 20 years of experience within that industry. And so there's usually gold that you can kind of unlock within those individuals. But yeah, it just comes from a place of actually knowing what you're talking about and being able to provide that valuable insight and context, which usually is only possible if you've been in a marketplace for a long period of time.